Welcome into AZ Audibles. Haley Stasiak, Jordan Ham, and Eric Sorensen here, breaking down the final weekend of the 2017 high school football season. We are through all the state championships. We have crown champions in 6A, 5A, and 4A this past weekend. Jordan, you were at Perry Chandler. What did you see in that game where Chandler won that title?
It was a perfectly fitting game because it was just so competitive, so back and forth, and it was one of those things where Chandler had the opportunity to win the game. It wasn't a missed opportunity by someone, and that was the game. It was really Chandler just being able to seal the deal. And just so many great players, so many great leaders on that team. When you look at the two quarterbacks, and Jacob Conover and Brock Purdy, just what great representations for both programs, just on and off the field for those guys. And just so much talent across the board, and I think the city of Chandler could be really proud of how that game played out.
It's sort of an overused cliche, but you hate to see one team lose, and I really thought in the 6A final, those Perry players after the game, they left blood, sweat, and tears out on the field, and not just for them, but the other two semifinalists. I mean, these teams have been working at this since January to get all the way into early December. It's got to be bittersweet to come up just short.
In 5A, Centennial Coyotes are your champions. Centennial took on Notre Dame Prep. Eric, you were at that game.
The moral of the story is don't spot Centennial 21 points and try to come back on Andrew Taylor's defense. We saw it again on Saturday. The Coyotes have a way of making you play a certain style, both offensively and defensively. They loaded the box. They basically told Notre Dame, if you're going to try to pass the ball down the field, go for it. Was not successful. Zidane Thomas obviously did what Zidane Thomas does, but for me, the star of the show was Ruben Beltran. Senior quarterback, didn't play great last year in their championship game against Williamsfield. He was nearly perfect. 2 passing touchdowns, also ran for a score. Had a huge game in his final high school contest.
It was really interesting for me because I wasn't covering this game. I covered 4A and 6A, but I was up in the press box for 5A, and getting to see them from a more aerial view and just the way Zidane Thomas runs, it was a totally new perspective, but also just not surprising at all because it seemed like by about 5 yards in, you knew whether he was about to break a big run or not, and just how the offensive line was able to part that Notre Dame defense. It was just huge, and really, you give that Centennial coaching staff 2 weeks to prep, you're usually going to be in pretty good hands with the Coyotes.
And Zidane is such an interesting running back because if you try to tackle him high, he's going to run over you. If you try to tackle him by his ankles, he's going to run through you. So the only way really to try to contain him is to gang tackle him, and the Saints even tried that, and that still wasn't effective.
In 4A, Saguaro won their 5th straight championship against South Point Catholic. What did you see in this one?
The defense. The defense was so impressive for the SaberCats. It was two really good running backs on the other side, in Bijan Robinson and Mario Padilla. Padilla had a touchdown, but it was on a kick return. So the defense was really able to limit that very good rushing game. They let a couple of good runs by Bijan Robinson go, but it was a bend not break it. They were able to tackle him before he got to the red zone or deep, where they were in a scoring position. And even when their back was against the wall, they were able to still come through. And then on the offensive side, it was the regular cast of characters: Max Massingale, Logan Pettyjohn, Zach Wilson. They have a stable of running backs that also were highly effective as well. So it's just so impressive what Saguaro's been able to do the past 5 years.
Yeah, Coach Mon said after the game, and I'm paraphrasing, he thought they sort of broke South Point's will, and it certainly looked that way. South Point would get a little momentum, and then the SaberCats defense would just squash it. And to think that those players, if the class of 2018 played 4 years on varsity, those kids have 4 state championships. It's unbelievable. Most kids would kill for 1. Those guys have 4, and the drive for 5 is complete.
The last time this team didn't win the state title, this group of seniors were in 7th grade.
It's crazy to think about.
So, and it was also pretty cool. You had Christian Kirk, you had KJ Jarrell. Plenty of alums were on the sideline to check out and make the drive down to Tucson to check out the SaberCats. So that was pretty cool.
They call it SAGU for a reason, guys, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Congratulations to Chandler, Centennial, and Saguaro, as well as Castile and Thatcher, your 2017 high school football champions. That's all we've got for you on AZ Audibles this week. Be sure to check out sports360az.com for all those state game recaps, as well as more of our high school football coverage. We'll see you next time.